New information into the News for XI team into a Russian billionaire with ties to Northeast Florida. Igor Makarov founded his company Itera in Jacksonville in the early 1990s, selling it to a Russian-owned gas company years later. In April, Canada and Australia sanctioned Makarov as part of the sanctions on individuals. Now the I team has learned that back in 2018, Makarov was concerned about being sanctioned in the U.S. Investigator Ann Maxwell talked with a consultant who put together a report detailing his risk of sanctions.
Igor Makarov amassed a huge fortune after the fall of the Soviet Union. He also made some enemies who would like to see him taken down a notch. Makarov was born in Turkmenistan. He made billions of dollars in the natural gas industry and made a home in Northeast Florida, headquartering his business Itera in this Southside office building, owning this 11-bedroom mansion in Ponte Vedra Beach and harboring this yacht in St. Augustine. In 2018, law enforcement and intelligence consultant Clifford Karchmer visited Makarov in Florida.
I spent several days with Mr. Makarov.
His mission? To evaluate if he might be sanctioned as part of an effort to punish Russia for invading Ukraine. Karchmer provided this rough draft of his 2018 report to the I-Team. It says Makarov was a Russian citizen and resident and a prominent member of Russia's energy elite. Karchmer writes many have raised suspicions about the company's swift rise to become one of the most influential in all of the former Soviet bloc. He also says Makarov has been regarded as a true Putin-era oligarch, and that while business or political enemies may have been behind the release of some attacks on Makarov's reputation, quote, factual reasons for concerns regarding potentially controversial ties and business dealings persist.
The group that I work with is very concerned with the initial impression and whether we believe the person to be blameless or innocent.
Makarov hired Karchmer after the U.S. Treasury listed Makarov as one of 96 Russian oligarchs in 2018. That list was later found to be an exact replica of the Russians listed on Forbes magazine's 2017 billionaires list, but it was enough for him to be concerned about sanctions. Karchmer says his team doesn't work with people who are dirty, and they didn't find any evidence of wrongdoing in the course of this investigation after reviewing public sources as well as financial records provided by Makarov. And indeed, Makarov has never been sanctioned in the United States. But this spring, Makarov was sanctioned by American allies Canada and Australia after Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine.
Do you think there's a possibility he could be sanctioned in the U.S.?
I think there's a possibility. It's remote.
He says he thinks there are potentially dozens of people the U.S. would sanction before getting to Makarov, just based on net worth, estimated by Forbes to be around $2 billion.
The more logical reason he won't be sanctioned is he's not done anything in my mind that I found, and I followed the media, to deserve sanctioning. I don't know why he's sanctioning Canada, except that they wanted to become a player and sanction oligarchs or people they believe to be oligarchs also.
On April 19th, Canada sanctioned 14, quote, close associates of the Russian regime, including Putin's 2 adult daughters and Igor Makarov. The government said those individuals were sanctioned because of their, quote, complicity in the Russian regime's invasion of Ukraine, freezing their assets and prohibiting Canadians from doing business with them. The I-Team asked Makarov for a comment on Russia's invasion of Ukraine through his representatives, and he declined.
Did you find that Makarov had any or has any relationship with Putin?
I anticipated this question, and here's my frank, honest answer. We discussed this with Mr. Makarov at length. He was contacted by the Putin entourage or administration to join Putin and a trade delegation to go somewhere where the Russian government was presenting its background and stakes and credentials in energy. But he was invited by Putin. There had been no prior communication or entreaty or anything that he wanted to meet Putin or that he sought Putin out. Putin sought him out.
Karchmer says Makarov did accompany Putin and others on a trade mission to India in 2007.
Why would he seek out Mr. Makarov for that?
Because of the relationship of Mr. Makarov to natural gas production in Turkmenistan.
The meeting happened before Russia was targeted with sanctions. Karchmer says Makarov likely accompanied Putin on the mission to maintain his standing.
His stand as a citizen, it's common knowledge what happens to people who Mr. Putin does not favor, from prison to, frankly, lethality, to death. And I don't think you would want to mess with, well, what would happen in my case? It's so much easier to go to a trade conference.
And that was Ann Maxwell reporting. The report also says most of Makarov's business dealings are registered in Cyprus and offshore tax jurisdictions, such as the Netherlands, Antilles, and the British Virgin Islands. And although the core of his main original business, Itera, was in an area of the former Soviet Union, it was registered in Jacksonville, likely to take advantage of Florida law that allowed businesses to avoid disclosing who owned them. Makarov's team has declined to comment.